They managed to survive it anyhow because they had the technology to survive it, and then they restarted again straight with the pyramid back into the next cycle.
Well, there you go, and I think that's an extremely interesting point because to some extent we can, I mean, to some extent we can say that we are in kind of, to some extent we can say that we are in kind of that technological advancement, as it were, right now, and we're also kind of approaching it. It's the speed up of the thing, and it's like, we're going to be like at the peak of our, civilization, as it were, or whatever, we want to call it. And I think basically at the same time as everything is, the technological singularity, call it what you will, this kind of the high point of our achievement, at the same time that we actually reach that pinnacle, we could potentially also kind of fall again, so to speak. And this could be a moment, and this might, where we'll be around 2012. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, where I can take this now after this. I mean, I've covered the cycles. I could pretty much tell you what the religion of the New World Order is as well.
Okay.
If you want to know that,
I'd love to. Share with us, please.
Well, basically, if you read in Revelations, chapter 11, verse 12. Now a great sign appeared in heaven: a woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet. Remember the moon because that's symbolised with Isis. And on her head a garland of 12 stars, like the 12 stars of the EU flag. But basically, in Revelations, it refers to the breaking of the 7 seals. Right. In the main prophecies for Chilam, a high priest, in 1560, there was a prophecy written about the arrival of Christianity and the arrival. This was like the end of the Mayan calendar prophecies of sorts. And he said, "There the masters of our souls arrived. There the counties were distributed to their chiefs. There we began to learn the holy faith. There water began to enter our heads. There were laid the foundations of the high church, the palace of God. There the principle of the 7 sacraments were founded." So 7 again, 7 seals in Revelation, 7 sacraments in the main prophecies. And I do Reiki, so I know what there's 7 of, and there's 7 chakras. 7 sacraments, 7 chakras, same word, same thing to me.
Yeah.
And as a confirmation of that, on my blog, there's some more deciphering of imagery. And if you have an issue of the UK passport from 1998, I think that's when mine was issued, there's an image of the rose, the thistle, and the daffodil, which are the flowers of England, Scotland, and Wales. But as I've said, these images have 2 meanings, and they have they have a duality. And this image that no one knows what it is, it's on a page called Reserved for Observations Only, with a number 11 on the page. It's basically showing a diagram of the chakra system. And you can correlate that because basically the heart chakra lines up with an image of a heart, and the solar plexus chakra aligns up with an image of a sun. So basically you've got this thing, but even more concerning, or not concerning, on the root chakra and the crown chakra, it's signed with a inverted pentagram.
Really?
So if you think about that, there's an inverted pentagram on your crown chakra and your root chakra. Now, I don't know what that's symbolically saying, but it's obviously involving spiritualism.
Yeah.
And if this is in the UK passport, I mean, it's beyond me that our government have ever acknowledged the chakras. I've never known that in my entire life.
Yeah.
But as a further proof to the New World Order religion is going to be based on spirituality, the Tibetan flag. I don't know if you've seen this. I've recently picked this up myself because of all the kerfuffle with the Olympic torch and the Dalai Lama and everything.
Yeah.
Basically, it's become pretty apparent that the Free Tibet movement was funded by the CIA. Because it was a way to rise up against China. But essentially, like, ignoring that, if you look at the Tibetan Buddhist flag, or the Tibetan flag that they used from 1912 to 1950, which is banned by China now, if you look at that, it depicts what is a mountain, but it's not a mountain, it's a pyramid. And at the top of the pyramid is a sun, right? So essentially you've got a pyramid with an all-seeing eye on the banned Tibetan flag that the Tibetan Buddhists used to represent themselves. So what is that saying about Tibet in 1912 to 1950 when they used that flag? It's almost like it's a blueprint for the New World Order's religion as such, on based on meditation, spirituality, chakras, and all that goes with it.
I mean, I'm looking at a picture of the Tibetan flag right now, and even the fact that there's two lions, if you will, that is holding up the eternal flame, and even the word itself. If you look at pyramidion or pyramidos, I should say, that's basically fire in the middle. So I mean, they give you the hint right there that this is a pyramid, and then you have the sun in the backdrop. I mean, it's incredible.
Yeah, do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So you've got this thing, and I've got a recent picture of the Dalai Lama sat giving a press conference, and his head was aligned perfectly with the back of that sun. And this is where I'm trying. This is where I'm moving to some weird stuff, because obviously this New World Order religion is basically still sun worship, but it's based on spiritual sun worship. It's going to combine Islam and Christianity. And it's through the emergence of Isis and the resurrection of a sun god. This is how it's going to happen.
Yeah.
But the thing is, obviously, New Age talk, conspiracy theories, and all of this stuff that's put out there, these are low-level distractions and stuff. And obviously, the New Age spirituality movement, it's not a bad thing in itself, but essentially, if you look at where it probably started from something very different to what we expect. Do you know what I mean? This whole moving into the age of Aquarius and the whole New Age stuff.
Well, of course. I mean, from my point of view, at least at this point, from what I've picked up on so far, this is the reason also for why they are reverting back to all of these, esoteric. Some would say even pagan if they come from a Christian background, what have you. But the reason for it is that I think that there is a spiritual truth in many of the methods, so to speak, that they actually use to control people, meaning that there actually is something real to this, and they have known this for a very long time, but they consequently either manipulate people in the other direction and consequently say that that's all bollocks, don't look at that. We have your religion right here for you, we call it Christianity, what have you. And I consider many of the religions that we have around today basically is a reformation from the oldest ancient religions, going back to the ancient world of Cana, Egypt, what have you, and it doesn't matter in what package they sell it to us. If you're smart enough, you're going to be able to see through that. If you're clouded by too much of the manipulation, that's unfortunate, but in many cases it's people's own choice, and I have nothing against that either,
No, that's of course you can't dictate that at all, can you?
No.
I mean, essentially, like, the thing that I'm trying to get across what I'm trying to say, I mean, I've moved into an area that Matthew Deleuze touches on. I think you've spoken to Matthew Deleuze before. But essentially, for me, the power structure that remained in power, or that started, something that built the pyramid, that got the people to build the pyramid, was a very powerful force. And in the history of, I've got a particular book called The Secret History of the World by Jonathan Black. It's an esoteric secret history of the world. And this particular book states how that since, the early days, we're getting more and more ingrained in matter. We're moving, like, everyone thinks of evolution in a material sense, but consciousness has equally gone through an evolution, moving from the spirit, drawing itself down into material matter over time. And so, for instance, when you listen to the Egyptian stories of Zep Tepi the first time, and the state that the gods ruled the earth, ruled Egypt, and then the gods retracted, so they built statues, effigies for people to worship to. And then eventually, after the gods had retracted so much, the pharaohs then ruled the earth for the gods, or ruled Egypt for the gods. And then, essentially, went from statue worship to idol worship into what we're currently at. We're at celebrity star worship, pop idols.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's the same thing. Madonna, all this lot. It's all part of the same thing.
Well, exactly. Oh, sorry. Continue.
But my thing is that obviously the Egyptian power structure that was in place then has never died